You shall not do this to democracy in North Carolina, Mr. Speaker. How dare you do this, Mr. Speaker? I will not yield.
We're not going to let anybody touch you.
I will not yield, Mr. Speaker. I will not yield. There is no. You shall not usurp the process, Mr. Speaker. How dare you subject this body to trickery, deceptive practices, hijacking the process? We have been here day and night for months defending what we believe, and you would submit this body to trickery, deception, deceit. It is so typical of the way you conduct yourself. How dare you, Mr. Speaker?
It's not leadership.
How dare you do this, Mr. Speaker?
Hijacking of democracy.
If this is the way you believe democracy works, shame on you. This is not appropriate, and you know it. The people of North Carolina, you will answer to the people of North Carolina.
And they will answer to the people of North Carolina, and that's why we're all here tonight. Welcome, everybody. Doesn't that just give you goosebumps? I get a little teary and goosebumpy every time I hear that. Oh, it's just wonderful. But welcome tonight to this Neighbors on Call Pep Rally. Can you guess why we felt like Representative Butler would be a great MC for this program? Neighbors on Call is an all-volunteer group which is laser focused on flipping the North Carolina General Assembly. Now, there are activists all across the state and even the country working on accomplishing this together. We have a crucial role to play. Tonight, we are here to solidify the actions that take us across the finish line, because you know there is a better future ahead. Before we get started, let me ask everybody to turn off their video. It improves the network bandwidth situation. So turn off your video, and we strongly suggest that you put your Zoom in speaker view during this program. So, Becca?
Hi. One note about our candidates tonight. We are very, very pleased to add Dr. Kimberly Hardy to our list of target races, and we can't wait for everyone to get to know her tonight. You'll actually have a chance to get to know her even better in 2 weeks on September 14th at 6:30. And all of our other candidates have talked with us in depth before, and you can see recordings of those virtual events on our website. After the pep rally tonight, some of the NoC crew will stick around in the Zoom for the after party. Everyone is welcome to hang out or ask us questions about our group then. And now, without further ado, we welcome our MC for the evening, one of InStyle magazine's badass women of 2020, the State House representative from Wilmington, and do not tangle with her on Twitter because you will get hurt, Deb Butler.
Oh my gosh, thanks for that warm welcome. Hello, Neighbors on Call. You're so awesome. I am on a lot of Zoom calls, I got to tell you, but you folks you've got it going on. This is so organized and so fantastic, and I'm so looking forward to it. We're talking tonight about why the North Carolina legislative races are the only thing that matters. No, they're not the only thing that matters, but lifting up from the bottom is what will make us successful. There's such a thing called ballot drop-off. If you get all excited about the top of the ticket and you vote for the president and you don't care about anything else, nothing else happens. There are no votes here. If you lift from the bottom up, if you elect strong legislative voices and leaders, it lifts the whole ticket. And that's what we're here to talk about. That's what the Republicans did in 2010. That is the specter under which we have been living ever since. So now, what do? We've seen the scourge of what the North Carolina General Assembly has looked like for the last 10 years. It's got to end right now. Why? Because it's horrific for one thing, but also because we're drawing the maps again next year. Gerrymandering must come to an end in North Carolina because it is the root evil of everything we're living right now. So we have got to put our focus on the legislative races. And I'm here to encourage you and tell you that you have got to use your dead level best efforts from now until election day to accomplish that. Because friends, I don't want to wake up the day after election like I did 4 years ago. I can't take it. You hear me? I can't take it again. You've got to help me bring these fresh faces to the North Carolina legislature. In 2018, you did incredible work. You brought me the likes of Sydney Batch. You brought me Terence Everett and so many others. Julie Von Hafen, I could go on. Ashton Clemens, Allison Dahl, the list goes on and on. Carolyn Logan, Candy Smith. Again, our freshman class is unparalleled because of the work like grassroots activists like you. So let's meet some of these candidates. We have got to have 6 new House candidates to take the majority. And that is what we're going to do. And I am so excited to talk about these candidates with you this evening because they represent what North Carolina looks like. Look at their faces. Look at their life stories. They are North Carolina. First up, Sydney Batch. Courageous, smart, beautiful, articulate. What else do you need to know about Sydney Batch? Except for the fact that anytime someone has a question in the legislature, they turn to a first-time legislator on issues of family advocacy, children advocacy. They know she knows more than they do. Ladies and gentlemen, Sydney Batch must hold her seat in the North Carolina legislature. It does us no good to pick up one and lose one. We have to have Sydney Batch in the legislature. Secondly, Terence Everett. Okay, I've got to do a little show and tell here. Terence Everett. First of all, can y'all see this? Can you see that? It was like my own security detail in the legislature. That's a shot from the News and Observer the day after 9/11. And Terence invites me to photograph with him as often as possible because this can't be the only shot of him and me. Terence is a lawyer. He represents businesses. He's got his boots on the ground with small businesses. He understands what it's like to make a budget and to make ends meet. Terence Everett has the righteous indignation that I have. He and I look at each other from time to time and just shake our head in disdain. He is a stalwart advocate for North Carolina. I've got to have Terence Everett back in the House. I must. Next up, Mr. Ricky Hurtado. Now look at that cherubic face, please. Take a look at that cherubic face. He looks like everybody's best friend. I don't know if you know this or not. That is an extraordinarily accomplished person. Ricky Hurtado, my goodness, the son of Salvadoran immigrants, first-generation college graduate, co-executive director of Latinx Ed at UNC. Friends, he is reflective of North Carolina, a true success story in the greatest sense. What kind of perspective will Ricky Hurtado bring to the General Assembly? I'm so excited at the prospect of serving with this gentleman. I want him to be my best friend. Look at that picture. Next up, Nicole Quick. Honestly, you know, I'll tell you a quick, to digress, because I admire Nicole Quick because she reminds me of my office manager here in my, I'm actually in Raleigh right now, but my office in North Carolina, back in Wilmington. You know, when you have a child with special needs and you are trying to navigate the waters of healthcare and therapy and best resources for that child, it is a morass. It is so challenging. It is so difficult. My assistant back in Wilmington had a child with Down syndrome. What did she do? She learned sign language to communicate with that boy so he wouldn't share the frustration of being unable to talk. Nicole Quick did the same thing, trained in occupational therapy, so that she could help a child, her own, suffering autism. That's a perspective that we need in the North Carolina General Assembly. Empathy, caring, hard work. Do you think it's easy to go back and train to that degree? We need Nicole Quick in the legislature. And last but not least, our newest addition to this list, Dr. Kimberly Hardy. Welcome, Kimberly. I can't wait to make your acquaintance. We might have met, you know, at warp speed sometime, but honestly, again, look at the faces and the talents of this diverse and capable and energetic crowd. I am so proud at the thought of having them in our North Carolina legislature. Dr. Hardy, again, PhD in social work, teaches at Fayetteville State University, beat a longtime Democrat, hurt their feelings badly, I'm sure, but that's what we do, right? If you want something, you go get it. You get the job done. That's what Kim Hardy has done. She's fighting to keep House District 43 blue, and it's much more competitive after this redraw. So she is going to need your help. So here is our slate of candidates, friends. Here is the group. All right now, everybody's got a dog in the background these days, right? This is the group that we have got to have in the North Carolina legislature. And with that, I will throw it back to Becca and or Susan to bring us to our next step.
All right, Rep Butler, that was an awesome introduction. These are amazing candidates. We cannot wait to see them elected. You are going to help us get to know them better with a little Q&A. So I'm passing it right back.
Good. All right, so listen, friends, making phone calls and participating in campaigning can be an arduous job. Take it from me. Take it from these candidates. I know, hey, Terence, how much do you love getting up and making fundraising phone calls? Give me a thumbs up on that. You love it, right? You love making, yeah, see, he loves it. He doesn't love it, but he does it anyway because we have got to win. We don't have any second chances. This is all on the line. I heard Attorney General Josh Stein in a Zoom about an hour ago talking about how everybody always says this is the most important lifetime of our election. Friends, this is the one. This is the one. And that's why your efforts have got to go full throttle from now until November. All right, but we can do it because we know what's at stake and we are energized with the righteous indignation of what is good for North Carolina. So listen, we're not going to yield. We are not going to yield. We are going to play a little lightning round. Get to know these candidates, okay? They don't know the questions I'm asking. They don't know what order I'm going to ask them. If they sound silly, you know, that's the point. This is to have some fun, right? Okay, who's up? Who's up first? I'm going to give this one to Sydney Batch. Sydney Batch. What was the worst thing that the North Carolina Republicans did in the legislature in the last decade? There's a whole long list to consider. I'm going to give you about 10 seconds. Boop, 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 boop.
Our maps, gerrymandering.
Gerrymandering, says the legislator. Hey, it's the root of all of it. Because when a candidate knows they don't have to listen to their constituents, all they've got to do is win a primary. The Republicans go farther right, the Democrats go farther left, and never the twain shall meet. So I'm going to give you an A+ for that answer. And thank you very much, Representative Batch. Next question goes to Ricky Hurtado. Ricky, why did the North Carolina General Assembly draw congressional maps with a 10-3 Republican advantage, despite the fact that North Carolina is a bellwether state and we have equal numbers of Republicans and Democrats? Why did they do that, sir?
Like they've done with many other bills, right? And that's to silence the majority of North Carolinians.
That's a good answer, but the answer is because they could. But yes, to silence the voices, to dilute the votes of the citizens of North Carolina, right? Packing and stacking. So if you draw all the Democrats over here in one district, that's the gimme, and you can't win any others. or you draw all the African Americans into that district, you can't win any others. But what you said was good too. Okay, up next. Okay, Nicole, quick. Which of these headlines about the North Carolina GOP are real? Number one, North Carolina House Rules Chair David Lewis pleads guilty to federal charges and resigns his seat. Number two, ex-GOP chair for North Carolina, Robin Hayes, pleads guilty to lying to the FBI in a bribery probe. C, or number three, depending on how you're looking at it, State Senator Fletcher Hartzell indicted on campaign finance charges. Four, State Representative Stephen LaRoque convicted of federal theft and fraud charges. Or five, North Carolina GOP operative faces new felony charges that allege ballot fraud, i.e. Leslie McCrae Dowless.
All the above.
Bingo! Gold star for soon-to-be Representative Nicole Quick. Nice job, nice job. Kind of, that was a sort of a softball one, wasn't it? That was just,
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Terence Everett, how long had it been since the Republicans had control of both chambers of the North Carolina General Assembly when they claimed that victory in 2010? Was it 24 years, 68 years, 112 years?
It wasn't long enough, but I believe it was 112 years.
Well, that was what I would guess too. But the truth is they never had it because they don't know how to govern. In the
Give me a
words
trick
of the
question.
In the words of the venerable retired legislator from Durham, Mickey Michaud, you know what, fellas? We taught you boys how to win some elections, but we forgot to teach you how to govern. That's the truth. Okay, next up, Kim Hardy. Which actions did the Republican-controlled North Carolina General Assembly not take during the 2020 legislative session? Passing a $350 annual bonus for public school teachers, which amounts to $1 a day. Passing a Second Amendment Protection Act, which would make it legal to conceal carry a weapon to a place of worship that also serves as a school. Or passing a bill that would limit Governor Cooper's power to act quickly during an emergency.
I'll take all of the above for 300. They didn't do what they were supposed to do.
You know
all
what?
the above.
You have an advantage to do it going at the end because you see how these questions go. Oh my goodness, that is hysterical. All right, here's what we got to do now. I tell you what, this is to illustrate just how poor the leadership is in the North Carolina General Assembly. And we're speaking of it in lighthearted terms, but the truth is these are serious issues. Let's not forget that we broke the supermajority in 2018, and now we're going to take the majority in 2020. Now let's get to know these candidates a little bit better. Let's do a little bit of a lightning round, shall we? Another lightning round. But this time there are no wrong answers because you get to tell me a little about yourself. Okay, first up, Mr. Ricky Hurtado. If you could choose a certain skill that perhaps you don't have now, what would it be?
Oh, that's easy. I have always wanted to learn how to play an instrument, but somehow since the age of 16, I've always had a job, and so I've never found the time. So
Yeah.
I'd love to play the guitar once I have all this free time, once I'm in the General Assembly. So
That's really cool. So he's got a cultural musical side that he's not quite actualized. Well, we'll teach you to sing in the legislature on our downtime because we sit around a lot lately. Okay, now, another question for you, sir. What is something surprising that you have learned as you've traversed your district? What have you learned about your district that perhaps you didn't know?
yeah, I think in Alamance County, it is an emerging economy, an emerging sort of community as it grows pretty rapidly. But there's just this strong sense of community in pockets you wouldn't expect. And so I think you've seen that more than anything in COVID, where people, you know, even if it's not in a church or at local nonprofit, are still finding ways to band together in unexpected places. And so I think, yeah, I think Alamance County gets a bad rap, but it is certainly a strong, thriving community.
Very good. I'm glad you learned a positive thing. And even if you had learned a negative, I'm sure you wouldn't tell it here because honestly, you're being recorded and you want to win. So good for you. Hey, good political chops right out of the gate. Good for you. Okay. So, Nicole, quick, let's do a little lightning round with you. Okay. This is a great one. What campaign advice would you give Martha McSally? Okay, let's just stop with that. Martha McSally with her ridiculous self. You'll recall she was the one who suggested that people skip a meal and give her the money. So what campaign advice, other than that, would you give Martha McSally?
Go home.
You know what? Brevity is the soul of wit. Good for you. That'll go very far in the legislature. Just get the zinger and leave it at that. All right, I'm going to ask you another one then. Are you a dog person or a cat person?
Ooh. I have 2 dogs and a tarantula.
Oh, see now. That's too much information. 2 dogs and a tarantula?
And the tarantula is celebrating her 10th birthday. So it's exciting.
You know. Okay.
We don't have any arachnophobes on the line, do we?
One right here. Okay. But I love all living creatures. I believe in the circle of life. I think we're going to, I'll get over it. What's the tarantula's name?
Fang.
Well, of course it is. What else would you call a tarantula? You wouldn't call it Muffy, I don't guess. Fang. Woo. Okay. All right. Where's Kim Hardy? Kim Hardy.
I'm here.
Now, Kim, you know the great barbecue debate that exists in North Carolina. And I don't want you to alienate half of the crowd, but you're going to have to be forthright. And, here's the thing about leadership. Reason out your decision, come to the best conclusion, and stick with it. Okay. Are you a tomato-based or a vinegar-based barbecue gal?
I know I'm going to alienate some folks, but I am definitely tomato-based. I'm not.
She's brave. She's taken an anti-North Carolina position.
I know. I'm sorry, but I gotta be honest. I've got to do it. I'm much more tomato-based.
You got to be truthful. Did you grow up in North Carolina?
I did not. I actually was born in DC and raised in Maryland, but my father's family is from North Carolina and still lives here in Bertie County in Ahoskie.
Yeah, that explains it. See, right. That explains it. I grew up eating barbecue at Kepley's Barbecue, which was a Quonset hut in High Point, North Carolina for part of the time. And if you've ever been through Wilson, you got to have barbecue there, and it's vinegar. But hey, good for you for being strong about your conviction. All right, I got another one.
Okay.
Don't let people beat you up over that, Okay, so now, if you go to a bookstore or you go to a library, what's your favorite section? What area do you naturally gravitate to?
I typically gravitate toward the current affairs or political books. Usually more of, I have a tendency to go to that section first, and then I make my way over toward the African-American book section as well, if there's a section for that there. But I start off with all things politics and current affairs.
Well, can I just tell you that you gave a far better answer than Sarah Palin, for example. When
all of them.
Asked about name a periodical that you've read, couldn't come up with one.
Right.
So, hey, look at you, leagues ahead of a vice presidential nominee. Good for you. Okay. All right, Sydney Batch. All right, we want to know, how would you rate your dancing skills? Are you a good dancer, or you got some moves? But are you a good dancer? And if so,
7.
what kind of music do you like to dance to?
Well, my husband said that, like, we actually choreographed. I made him choreograph our first wedding song too.
Oh,
yes. And so we did an East Coast swing for that one.
really?
But generally, if I was going back to my college days, it would literally be whatever was on the radio on a hip hop radio station. So it's varying. But yes, I definitely love dancing. I would love to do it more. He told me he had to wait till our kids grew up and I was out of politics. So it's going to be a while before we do dance classes anytime soon.
Representative Batch, is there a video of that first dance?
I think there is.
I bet there is. Would we all like to see it, or was it an abysmal failure? Was it a good situation?
No,
because
we did a good job. We did a good job. We took enough classes.
That's awesome. Okay, I got another one for you. During this pandemic, we've all found ourselves, even though I've done like 6 Zooms today, I still have more time on my hands than I normally would. What have you been binge watching lately, if you can tell it?
Hell on Wheels right now.
Really? Okay. Well, you know what I got involved in is this thing, some neighbor, I guess Breaking Bad wasn't bad enough. I had to have more drugs and violence. And so I'm watching this Queen of the South. By a show of hands, anybody seen that? Wow. I mean, you know, it's like a train wreck. You watch it and you're appalled, but fascinated. I don't know. I can't believe I can grab it as if I hadn't had enough violence in the legislature. Oh, Lord. All right, Terence Everett. Rapid fire to you, man.
Let's have it.
All right. If you could be a superhero, and you are, by the way, who would it be?
Captain America.
Captain America. You like the shield and the equipment and the outfit?
He always does the right thing, which I can't honestly say that I have. He's just a good person.
It is a snazzy outfit, though, you'll have to admit.
Spangly stripes, yeah, that's something.
Well, you know, it's the funny thing about this guy right here. He can come in with the beard, like see that beard he's sporting right now? It makes him look mature, thoughtful, wise. Let him shave it off. He looks like he's 18 years old. It's the funniest thing. I like both of you.
Sydney won't let me shave it off.
Sydney?
True.
Are you the legislative wife to Terence Everett and I didn't know it?
Also true.
Fair enough.
And his wife agrees. Like, literally, we text each other. See, he's like, and one day, just so you guys know, inside baseball, I had started saying something to Terence, and he said, Sydney, if I really wanted this treatment, I could just go home. And I'm like, but you're getting it from both of us, so go somewhere.
Y'all, you know, sometimes in those late night hours at the General Assembly, these are the kinds of conversations that get texted around the room. It's really true because it becomes a family. And that is why I have got to have these people in the North Carolina General Assembly, because I don't want a family of just anybody. I want these people, thoughtful, capable, the people who don't want chaos, the people who want to govern. That's what we want. All right, who have I left out? I got everybody on that, I think, right? So Susan or Rebecca, you want to take over for a minute? I have to have a sip of wine.
All right, yeah, you get a break. We want to see that too. We want to see them all in Raleigh next year. So now it's time for us to talk about what we need to do as volunteers to make that happen. And we have a few more questions for the candidates to help us get to the answer. First, Ricky Hurtado, you there?
I am here.
There he is. Last year, Senator Jeff Jackson told us at our election skills fair that as volunteers, we will never have more leverage in an election than we're going to have in this year's state house races. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And I was there in the audience with y'all when he said that. And since that day, I've been repeating it to every volunteer I meet, especially folks at Neighbors on Call. I think that you have to really sort of stack the impact that a single volunteer can have with a group like Neighbors on Call and on our races versus something like a governor's race or a presidential race. Every dollar, every hour that goes into our race has the potential not just to swing a precinct, it has the potential to swing a district. We could eventually swing a whole state. And we know Sydney's answer was spot on, right? In terms of what's the worst thing that this General Assembly has done in the last 10 years, and that's racial gerrymandering. And so with gerrymandering and fair maps on the ballot leading up into 2021, this is the most important thing any volunteer in North Carolina could be doing right now.
Well, that's great. Okay, and Nicole, quick. What is it that you would like for volunteers like us, like Neighbors on Call? What is it that you would like for us to be doing now?
Okay, that's a good question. So there are 3 things: phone banking, and phone banking. So as I have told people when I was chair of our county party, the #1 way to sway voters is by personal connection. In another year, I would have said, go out and knock doors. We can't do that this year, but we can still make that personal one-on-one connection. We can phone bank and reach voters. And did you know that phone banking a voter, speaking to them one-on-one, is 2 times as likely to convince them to vote for you as sending them a mailer or writing them a postcard? Now, those things are important too, but this really is the most effective way to connect with voters. And not only do you get to connect with them, which, let's face it, is important right now because some people are isolated, they're lonely during this pandemic, but it also gives you feedback. You get to ask them questions, you get to find out what's important, what issues matter, and they feel that caring, that concern, and it makes them more likely to go out and vote.
Thank you. That's great.
Kimberly Hardy, we have a question for you.
All right.
We can't wait to support your campaign, and we're hoping you can tell us what are the key points that we would be talking to voters about in your phone banks.
Well, so there are several. I'm so excited that you're all even going to do this for me. I appreciate it, for all of us, really. For our race, some of the most important things are name recognition. I unseated an incumbent, and so 2 of us are going after this seat, and my opponent has had some previous political history, but I need the name recognition. And so making sure that they know who is on the ballot and what I'm fighting for on their behalf is absolutely critical. And, you know, like Nicole said, because I can't go tell them myself, even if I were canvassing right now, I would never have the reach that you all are going to have. So name recognition is huge. Also, what the key issues are. So in my area, in Cumberland County, we're dealing with the aftermath or the ongoing issue of Gen X and the Keymore spill. So the environment is very, very important for us here. We're also dealing with issues around education, not even just teacher pay, but we have a very broad district that includes a lot of rural spaces. And so we've had to outfit some of our school buses as mobile hotspots and drive them into neighborhoods so that children can have access to the internet and take classes online for school. And we can do better. We can find better ways to make sure that our children are not being left behind in that, what they call the homework gap of internet access and broadband. And so that's definitely another big issue there. So there are some very important issues on the ballot that you all are going to talk about as well, but also helping folks make a plan to vote. You know, we want people to take advantage of whichever option they think is best for them. We're asking them to go ahead and request your absentee ballot. You can always bring it into in person if you want to during early voter election day. If you decide that you want to do early vote, make sure you know where your polling site is so that you can go in and it's very safe. And during early vote, it'll be very quick. There won't be very many people there, so we're hoping that people will take advantage of that. And if you decide to go on election day, again, just You make sure you get there early. Be patient in case there are longer lines out there. A lot of the spaces here that we have in Cumberland County have moved into larger spaces so that folks can distance between themselves while they're waiting in line. So making a plan to vote, knowing what those key issues are, and name recognition are key.
That's great. Thanks so much. And Representative Everett. Now, what if some of us just don't much like phone banking? What should we do about that?
Just don't do it. No. Listen, I get it. I'm not going to tell anybody that it's easy. When I was first asked to run, one of the biggest concerns I had was I am shy. I'm not a public speaker. It scared the dickens out of me. And it was actually the final thing that was the straw as to whether I was going to actually agree to run or not. And I ended up going to Toastmasters and all these other things to get over that fear. Still not a good speaker, but I have less of the fear. But yeah, it's a fear that folks have, and it's real, and there's no sugarcoating it. But we're not asked to do what is easy, especially given everything that is at stake. I mean, this isn't about doing what's easy. This is about doing what is right. I tell folks the story of 2016 when we lost this seat. It was horrible. It was humiliating. I was upset. I was more upset for where our country was going to go. But I still went to bed that night and I was okay. And I got a good night's sleep and I got up the next day and I moved on because I had done absolutely everything. There was never a doubt in my mind if I had worked hard enough or if I did enough, because I did everything. And I want everyone on this call to have that gift, that no matter what happens, you wake up Wednesday, you're good, because you did everything. And in doing that, we are going to win, but regardless, it is the legacy that we leave behind by doing what is right, by doing the hard work, by putting yourself through those uncomfortable phone calls, getting over that fear. That's what your family and friends are going to remember. That in 2020, when we had the fight, you were on the right side of that fight and you fought the good fight. And so I want everybody to have that experience, as uncomfortable as it is. I think of it as me in college, just getting turned down every time I asked a girl out. I mean, those are going to be some of your phone calls, and you just roll with it, because you are going to get those positive phone calls, and those positive phone calls make it worth it. When I go out door knocking, it's a bell curve. I have some really horrible door knocks. I have some really awesome door knocks, and most of them are just somewhere in the middle. But it's the really good ones that make everything else worth it. I promise you, you're going to have those positive phone calls.
That's great. And as Becca will tell you in a minute, we have a lot of things we tried to do to make it more comfortable and easier for folks. So sorry, Becca, I jumped in. Your turn.
All good. Thank you, Representative Everett, for that. Representative Batch, here's the last question. We want the hard truth. Do we have a chance? And is it worth it?
So do we have a chance? Absolutely. And that's because, like in 2018, we not only recruited and got talented people to run for office, they raise money, because we know that outside of phone banking and knocking doors, we actually have to raise money. This year, we have amazing candidates like Ricky, like Nicole, right? Like Kim, who have spent tireless hours on the phone, of which none of us enjoy, raising money, so that they have less from the caucus to have to give. So there are 22 races that we are actually engaged in playing with. So when the redistricting happened, we were able to get better maps. They're still not nearly good enough, right? But it gives us the opportunity to be able to hold the seats that we currently have for the seats that we flipped in 2018, and to go ahead and pick an additional 6 seats up. But it's because of the work of Kim and Nicole and Ricky and the candidates that have stepped forward to run that make us a much more diverse and a better, frankly, slate of candidates than you would have regarding Republicans, right? So we absolutely have that chance. And we are out there doing every single thing. And I think what Terence said, he said it best, we're leaving everything on the table. And if we come out of this race without a majority, many of us will not, none of us on this call will say that it was because of anything that we failed to do, right? And you guys are exceptionally crucial in that. You were in 2018, you've been, and in this year, you guys have been absolutely amazing, especially when phone banking is so integral because we can't knock on doors. Our opponents are knocking on doors, right? My opponent is knocking on doors in the district right now. I will not be doing that. So the fact that I've had some voters who said that they've gotten called 4 or 5 times from phone bankers already shows the value of you guys and what you do every single time that you pick up those phones. And that's how we're gonna win, right? We as candidates are told that we have to persuade voters and raise money. We have all been raising money like we have lost our minds. And now we're shifting to the persuading. But we need you guys to help with turn out the vote and persuasion. And is it worth it? I would leave you with this. Do you want 500,000 North Carolinians to actually have health care? And do you want to be in a situation where people don't have to move out of a district or into a much more expensive neighborhood so that their kids get to go to a well-funded public school? Do you want people to actually be able to live where they work and work where they live, where they don't have to work 3 and 4 jobs just to go ahead and make ends meet? Do you want people to be able to take time off from work to take care of a loved one, to take care of themselves, to have access to health care, to be able to raise their children in safe, wonderful neighborhoods? Then what I'd say to you is it's absolutely worth it. And that's what we're fighting for in the Democratic Party, right? We're fighting for all of that. And we know that if we're in those seats in 2021, when we are sitting there drawing those maps, the people in those seats come January of 2021 will dictate what happens for our state for the next decade. And so it's absolutely worth it. And we couldn't do it without without all of you. So thank you very much.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. That's just wonderful and just exactly what we were here tonight to hear. Okay, so folks, we know now what we have to do. Neighbors on Call is here to support you all the way. We try really hard to take care of our volunteers. And so thinking about phone banking and so on, we have started a new buddy system, which seems to be going well. We've had quite a few people participate and like it. So here you can now hear from 2 of our recent phone bankers who had a buddy, Tony and Ann.
Hi, I'm Tony Carroll. I participated in my first phone bank last week with the help of a buddy from NoC. She reached out before the calls. We spoke on the phone. She gave me some tips, directed me to some resources. She checked in several times during the phone bank, and she followed up afterwards. One thing I discovered pretty quickly is that, in fact, there's a lot of support built in, and I may not have needed the buddy at all, but it was great to have her. I made it through the call without dying, and I'm coming back for more. I think it was important. It's important for me, certainly, to be doing everything I can this election to turn the state blue, and I really appreciated the boosts from the buddy system to get started. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name's Ann. My husband will tell you there is pretty much nothing I hate more than making cold phone calls to anyone. I'll do anything to avoid doing that. And yet, for months, Neighbors on Call has had me, phone banking, calling up voters in advance of this absolutely crucial election this fall. Neighbors on Call will tell you who to call, what to say, when to call, how to call, and they'll provide you a supportive group of colleagues who are doing it at the same time so you can't even procrastinate. They make it almost fun. If I can do it, you can too. Come join me and Neighbors on Call on the phone with voters this fall. Thanks.
So now, if Ann and Tony can do it, so can you. I'm among the reluctant myself, but I have learned how and can do it myself. Now, you're never going to be doing this alone, and we make sure you have all the information you need ahead of time, including the campaign script, which they share with us and we share with you, and how to access the phone list. Every phone call you make won't be a hit. Believe me, you'll have lots of unanswered calls, but you will have a few good conversations. It's the group effort that makes the numbers add up, and they really do. No one can carry this alone, so thank you. Back on mute.
There we go. So here's what we're asking each of you to do. We're asking you to commit to at least 2 phone banks in September and at least 3 in October. And to save the final weekend before the election for at least 2 more. In a few minutes, we're going to ask you to go to our website and submit commitments for September and October. So have your calendar at the ready. Neighbors on Call, we got this. And on November 4th, we are all going to know that we did all that we could. Representative Butler, do you have any words you want to say to us before we send them to the sign-up form?
Oh my gosh, I sure do. First of all, it's just an honor and a pleasure to be here with each and every one of you. You know, I'm trying to leave it all on the field also, which is why I'm here with you tonight. We're all doing whatever we can in whatever way to make this a successful election cycle. Friends, you know, this is the home stretch. It's time to make a statement. It's, I like to say it's time to stop the madness. There's no question that we are all so tired of the chaos in our lives. I know for myself, I crave honesty and stability and leadership and kindness and compassion. And I know you do too. And that's why we need good and exceptional leadership, like these 5 candidates you've met tonight. When we have exceptional leadership, like these 5, we can rise to any challenge. You know, we just need a plan and a direction about how we should go. And we'll do that as Americans, as people, we do that if we trust the people who are asking us to do it. And now, in the face of a global pandemic and racial unrest, we just want a plan and the ability to get through it. Here's the plan. We have got to phone bank for these candidates. It's not that difficult. It really isn't. You know, it's worse than that nasal swab you would get from a coronavirus test. It's a lot easier than that. So, you know, let's put it into perspective. We're not asking you to deploy to Vietnam. We're asking you to call your neighbors and just talk to them about what the future of North Carolina looks like and why we want a different path, right? So I want you to please sign up. I am going to ask for a count from Susan and Becca when we get to the end of this in the coming days. What is our goal? Becca, Susan, what is our goal? How many slots do we have to fill? Do we know that?
We've done about 1,000 phone bank shifts so far since March. And we want to do at least that again.
Okay. And we have 150 people. Somebody do the math. This is something that is so critically important. I'm going to be calling for an update. And if you think I was at all courageous or at all brave when I stood up, that wasn't comfortable. When you see me cringing as you play that video, that's still hard for me to watch. We're all pushing the boundaries of what is comfortable for us, but there's too much at stake. So please sign up. Do 4, do 5, and then add 1 more. It's that important. And I would sure appreciate it. And I'm going to call for an update. And I will not yield until you sign up and get that done.
All right, folks.
Thank you, everybody. Neighbors on Call, you're fantastic.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere, Representative Butler. We still need you. But
okay.
Time to sign up. So the phone bank.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
There it is. There's the phone bank schedule. And you go to neighborsoncall.org right now. Click on the phone banks page and submit your choices.
Everybody is signing up. And this is what we need. And when we have victory on Wednesday morning, we will know, like my colleague Terence said, that we have left it all on the field. And we will have the gratification of knowing that we have literally saved democracy in this country. That's not an understatement. It's not an exaggeration. I know we all feel it. Thank you for everybody. This is just an incredible display. Judith, Liz, Leslie, Alex. I am so humbled and pleased, truthfully, because I don't know about you guys, but I have vacillated in the last several weeks, particularly, between optimism and silver linings to abject terror and fear. And so you all have lifted me up this evening, honestly. And I have such encouragement to fight another day. And this is what it's going to take. All of this and more. And we can do it, and we will do it because we care about what's important. I am so impressed by all of you, Judith and Liz and Alex. Johnson,
Senator
Lloyd.
Butler,
Yeah.
thank you so much for cheering us on. And I think these are going to keep rolling in. And if you haven't finished submitting yours yet, please keep going. And you can always find these on our
I
website.
can read this all night if I have to.
Well,
I am happy to read them all night long if that's what it takes.
You're very, very generous. But we're going to end the evening.
That is tremendous. Thank you very much for having me.
Neighbors on Call, you all are incredible. I am so proud to be part of this community. We're going to have a fantastic fall. If you haven't finished your form, please keep at it, and I'm going to pass it back to Susan.
All right, now, well, thank you so much. This has been fabulous. We're going to end the formal program part of the event now, but everybody is welcome to stay on the line, and we'll just chat and have questions and so on. And we're just going to have a little moment where we have a slide in here as to mark the transition, but it doesn't mean you have to go away. Just sit here and hang on. Everybody's welcome. We love you all and look forward to the day of being able to hug everybody again. There we go. So next time we'll get together is Monday, September the 14th at 6:30, a little different time for us, but this will be for us to get a chance to know Dr. Hardy. So please, she could join us tonight. Can't wait to talk to her more. She's got some great video links on her website if you want to get a sneak preview. RSVP for this event, as you've done for this one tonight, on our website. And thank you, everybody. This is what a wonderful group. Thank you so much.
And thank you to all of the candidates. You are amazing, and we know you're working so hard. Thank you.
Can't wait to see you all be inaugurated or whatever representatives get done to them, sworn in. We'll be there in our purple shirts.
Thank you guys for everything.
Good night.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.